All right, welcome back to the Badass Lifter podcast. We're going to be talking about staying motivated in your strength training journey and what to do when you've lost motivation. We're going to talk about why, as well as solutions to overcome that. I think this is kind of the part of the year where there was a lot of motivation and enthusiasm, and then some things will happen that will cause you to lose motivation over time. This episode is going to be about what those issues are, as well as how to overcome them. Before we get into them, I've got like four main points for you. The fourth one, which I think is the most important. Um, if you like the podcast, if you find it helpful, please leave a positive review on wherever you listen to. If you watch on YouTube, make sure to like, subscribe. It does help to get new lifters finding the podcast so we can help out more people, turning new lifters into badass lifters and helping them on their strength training journey. Greatly appreciate if you do that. Now, let's talk about what the first issue comes up is. And the first one is if you had no plan or you had the wrong plan. So you got started, maybe you went into it not thinking too much about it, or maybe you had a plan, but it just didn't really make sense, or you kind of realized a few weeks in that this is the wrong plan of action. This can be really discouraging because you come in with a lot of enthusiasm, you made a strategy or you didn't think you needed a strategy, and it turns out that you did need a strategy or a different one. You feel disheartened, like you're like, maybe this isn't right for me, like I'm not even doing the right thing, like what's the point of this? Totally understandable where you're coming from. In this scenario, like you might not have given the plan enough time. I think sometimes people worry if they're not seeing results from week to week that they're not going to see results. And that's not always the case. Sometimes you need to give it a little bit more time. Sometimes you are doing the right training, but you actually just need to give it like 2-3 months, etc. So I would say before you give up on the current plan, unless it's really obvious it's not working, I would say like give it 3 months, like really give it some time, because it might not be that the plan is bad. It might just be that the plan needs a little bit more time. Now, if you've done that and the plan still isn't working, I just want you to know that it's okay to change the plan. You don't have to get everything perfect on the first try. Most people's strength training journey are not going to be perfect on the first try, and there's going to be trial and error, and that's kind of all part of the process. So if your plan was unsuccessful, that is okay. Like you do not need to feel bad about that. Like changing your plan throughout the process is normal and honestly to be expected. The second thing that I've noticed happen is kind of comparison traps that bring people down. So you're new to the gym, maybe, or you watch people online and you like, man, people are lifting so much weight, or they like look so much fitter, or like they're, they seem really confident in what they're doing, and you don't feel confident in that process. It can be easy to become discouraged, especially if how you judge success is, how's everyone else doing versus what I'm doing. This is very, very common. You are not alone on that. So I don't want you to think that you are alone or the only one thinking about this. And the real solution to this problem is you have to make your fitness journey as much about you as possible. I cannot stress this enough. The more that you compare to either other people in the gym, or the more that you compare to maybe your favorite influencer online or someone else who's training online, it is going to be a bad time. I don't want you to do that to yourself. I want you to make the journey about you as much as possible. What is the goal you're working on? Why does this matter to you outside of the perspective of other people? How can I make this journey better? How can I move towards the goal that matters to me because that's what I want, not what other people want? Easier said than done, but I think with more and more practice, really focusing on when you feel discouraged and you notice it's about other people, kind of catching yourself and being like, no, that's not what this is about. It's not about this person. It's about me. Make your journey about yourself. Be selfish in your journey. I think that's important, because the more you make your journey about you, the better you're going to enjoy the process. The third one is fear of failure and kind of self-doubting yourself throughout the process. there are lots of people who will focus way more on the failures than the successes. And it's almost like you're waiting to prove to yourself that you are a failure, which is tough, which is a really tough way because it kind of takes away from like any successes that you've had. Um, Part of this can also be that maybe you don't feel like you can be a strong person. And so you're kind of just like waiting for the moment for like that to be proven true, whether that's a bad workout or not accomplishing your goal as fast as you wanted to, whatever it might be. This is super, super common. Again, I'm not like saying these things to, make you feel bad about however you think, but I think it's important to acknowledge that this does exist. I also want to point out that these things do exist probably outside of your fitness journey as well. So I would love to sit here and be like, here's how to overcome your fear of failure. But this is probably a much larger thing that I don't have the expertise to help you overcome. I can give some tips from like the fitness journey perspective, but in terms of like if you have a lot of self-doubt in life or you have a lot of fear of failure, I'm not a psychologist. I don't want to pretend that I am a psychologist. I'm going to give tips in relation to your fitness journey, but if this is like a big life thing, I would encourage you to find someone to help you out or look to someone more qualified in that area than myself. But what I think can be helpful in your fitness journey is that if you find you're worried about failing or you find that you're focusing more on the failures than you are in the successes, I think it's good to start either writing down or every time you feel like you failed at something, also think about something you have succeeded at. I think that is, kind of like you have both sides. Like, yes, I missed this workout, but also my lifts have been going up and I've been improving over time. I think that is super helpful to do. I think there's so much value in seeing both sides and also looking at failure as like a learning experience. Like, okay, I messed up this workout or I didn't go to this workout. Understand why. Why did you miss the workout? Maybe it was a good reason. Maybe it's not, whatever it might be. Understand why. Create a plan of action to resolve this in the future and then get back to training. No guilt, no shame, or sometimes it doesn't even need like a resolution because it's a very understandable reason. Like I missed this workout because I was very sick, in which case missing the workout was probably the right call. But even if it was like, oh, I missed this workout because I was worried about looking dumb in the gym, whatever it might be, like acknowledge that you have those feelings and like, well, how can I feel better in the gym than I did before, and then kind of going from there. Um, Again, like usually this is like a much larger issue. Like it's not just like feeling like a failure or having self-doubt in a gym setting. Usually it also exists in a life setting, but I've noticed that like acknowledging, big and small wins and, matching when the moments you feel like a failure to the moments where you feel like you're succeeding do have value and is something like worth talking about. The fourth point, and I think this one is like very, very important, especially for like newer beginner lifters, is no support system. So you run into an issue. Maybe the issue is, again, like some of the things you've mentioned, comparison traps, fear of failure, not having a real plan or having the wrong plan for like your goals. And you don't have someone or something to help you out in that process. I think some of these things can be hard to deal with on your own, and having some help with them does make sense. Whether that's like a friend, a buddy, some kind of like, I know there's a lot of apps now that kind of do this in like a semi accountability way, or even just like hiring a trainer. Like this is one of the reasons why like I have a lot of people that I work with that want to become stronger, but they need to troubleshoot some things. And if things go wrong, they want to talk about it, and they should. Like that's kind of what I'm here for. Like I want to make sure that we're talking through it, that like you understand what's going on. Like, are you actually failing, or is this just part of the process? And if there is an issue, like let's talk about a way to resolve it. I think having some kind of support system makes a lot of sense. And if you don't have that support system, and you are looking for help or for a trainer, I do have one-on-one coaching. I'll put it in like the notes below. If that's something that you are interested in, you can apply. We can meet, talk about how the training works, go from there. But if you are looking for a support system, that is like one option you could look into. So we're looking into 4 big points that I think stop people from being motivated. And I hope that I provided some helpful solutions to do that. Either, changing the plan or having a plan goes a long way, making your fitness journey about you, acknowledging when you succeed instead of just acknowledging when you fail, and having some kind of support system to help you out in this journey. Let me know your thoughts. Let me know if you thought this was helpful. And thanks for listening to the Badass Lifter podcast.